Hello, hello. It's Emma Holmes here at Rockstar HQ, and I am joined today by the lovely Sarah Cornforth, the productivity princess. Just checking that we're going in the right place, and I think we are. Good morning. No, it's afternoon. No.
Afternoon now. Yes.
Sarah, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Nice to have be on here as well. So thank you very much for asking me.
My absolute pleasure. So I thought that we would come in and have a little bit of a chat. We'll give people a few minutes to appear online. I know it's school holidays for lots of people here in the UK, but let's see who's around this lunchtime.
Yeah, I'm totally oblivious to school holidays. I always have to get you to tell me.
Hi, Emma Tom. Hello. We're talking activity. We're going to talk business generally. We're going to talk about getting organised. I'll tell you what would be a really good one, Sarah, just to throw it at you. We're approaching holiday season.
Yeah.
And the sun is starting to shine here in the UK. And we're having more often, the children are off. And talking about getting your business a bit more organised and getting into that frame of mind to be able to go for weekends away, for holidays, having the kids about, whatever it might be, the reasons why we potentially don't want to work as much during the holidays, and kind of getting a little bit ahead of the game.
Yeah.
What would your top tips be for us during this sort of time of year when we do potentially want to ditch the office on an afternoon and go out?
Well, I've been doing it.
Naming no names.
Well, actually, yeah. I can't stay indoors as soon as the sun happens. So, I mean, personally for me, this is quite an easy one because I naturally wake up super, super early. So I can sometimes be in the office at 5 o'clock in the morning. So as soon as it gets light, unfortunately, my body clock likes to wake up. So I take full advantage of that and I start early. And if I'm starting at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'll probably stop and have breakfast and coffee and stuff for an hour at some point. But I'll still finish at, say, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I've got from 2 o'clock in the afternoon all the way through till bedtime as my personal time to do with what I want, because I'm still doing a full day. I've just shifted my day around. So instead of starting, doing 8 till 4 or 9 till 5 or whatever your hours are, I'm moving them around so I can take advantage of that hottest part of the day, the bit where you really want to be outside, not the cold bit on the morning.
Well, you can do it the other way as well, can't you? You could do a chunk of work on a morning, have the afternoon out, and then do a chunk more work in the evening.
Yeah.
Or you can start later.
Absolutely. And I think it took me quite a long time when I came out of corporate world to realise that I didn't have to work 9 till 5 anymore. And I did sit in my office between 9 and 5. And sometimes I didn't start work till 9, even though I was ready. I was like, I can't start work earlier than this because it's not right, is it? It's very much like being almost institutionalised from your previous corporate world, isn't it? And it was crazy. And that took me ages. I felt as though there was some sort of rules that had been written down invisibly somewhere and I had to abide by them. But it's not true at all. I can work whenever I want. That was the whole point of going into business in the first place. But I only was able to do it once I gave myself complete and utter permission to be able to be flexible. Until I'd done that, there was still something in my head telling me, oh, no, but the working day is 9 till 5. But the working day is not 9 till 5. It's whenever I want it to be. And I know I'm not great for the evenings. If I work in the evenings, it has a knock-on effect to my productivity the next day. So I would never, ever work that way. But I know for some people, they like to work all the way through till 11, 12 o'clock at night. I mean, I don't see that time usually. But if that works for you and you want, the mornings off or the afternoons off, and you want to switch your day around, be as flexible as you want and take full advantage of taking time away from your business. And you're still doing the same amount of hours. You're just doing them in a different order, and it's absolutely fine to do it. So you have permission. I'm giving you permission.
Where you say now that you still have the same amount of hours. Whereas actually, sometimes it's okay to have less hours.
It is. Yeah, it is. And it's amazing, if you've got something that you really want to do or a place that you really want to be, it's amazing how many things you can tick off your list that you probably didn't really need to do in the first place. The winter seems to really, I create myself several full-time jobs during the winter because I don't want to go outside, because I want to be in my office because it's nice and cozy and I enjoy it. And half of that stuff doesn't need to be done. I don't need to be doing that on a regular basis. And I've really stripped back my day-to-day, the ticking over jobs, the things that you do to keep your business ticking over. And actually half of those don't really need to be done at all, or they certainly don't need to be done to the degree I was doing them. So it's much more flexible, a little bit more laid back. Things are happening a little bit more spontaneously. Yes, I know this is like quite a big thing for me, because I've been used to having a bit of a control freak when it comes to my business. And if I can do it, then believe me, anyone can do this. They can definitely get much more flexible with it, and it works. And I'm happier for it. Everybody else is happier for it. So yeah, definitely, that's my top tip.
So holidays, if you're going away on holiday and you want to have a little bit of time out, when would you start planning for that? And what sort of steps would you start to take?
For me, I would always say that if you're going to be away for a week, then start planning it 2 to 3 weeks in advance. If you're away for 2 weeks, then make that 4 to 6 weeks in advance, because you're not then doubling your workload for 1 week prior to a week's holiday. Double your workload beforehand while preparing for your holiday, getting your insurance, sorting the kids out, whatever else needs to be done. It's not physically possible. And by the time you get on holiday, you're burnt out, stressed out, and you spend most of it feeling ill and crappy and rubbish. So plan as far in advance as you possibly can. If you book your holidays months in advance, there's nothing to stop you from planning months in advance. Even if all it is that you're scheduling some time to plan, the first week of your holidays social media content. And it doesn't have to be things that you need to be available for, because, well, guess what? You're not going to be available for them. So don't make it that you're going to be interactive and engaging. You just want to keep people, give them things that they know you still exist. They know you haven't abandoned them. Share your best content from the year so far. You don't need to recreate absolutely everything when you're not going to be there to dish it out, when you're not going to be there to respond to it. Otherwise, it's kind of a bit of a waste, isn't it? I want to be around. If I create a brand new blog post, I kind of want to be around to release it, to talk about it, to promote it, to, not just automate the whole thing. But I've also got a huge library of blog posts that I could set out. I could go on holiday for a year if I wanted to with all that content. Not saying I will, but that sounds very nice right now.
That's a very interesting talk. Well, it's something I've been talking about for a week or so with various people about automation, and about how at times I think that lots of people have gone into over automation.
Yes.
Do you see that happening a lot?
Massively, yeah. I mean, there's this thing where you don't want to end up with radio silence, do you? So you think the best way to do that is to plan as far in advance as you possibly can. And I started off this way, from my project management background. Having things planned, that was what you did. So that was another sort of corporate institutionalization that I went through. So not planning too far in advance was quite difficult for me, but I did find that I became very lazy. I lost my voice because it wasn't my current voice that I was speaking with. I was speaking with the voice of Sarah in the future, which didn't really care about the post I was writing because it wasn't right there and then. So, future Sarah kind of didn't give a crap, but present Sarah cares a lot more, if that makes sense. I feel like we're having a bit of a Christmas Carol spin-off here.
And I think that it's sometimes you get into this automation and it's just, let's just get it done and get it ticked off the list.
Yeah, that's it. With no passion, with no joy. And as soon as you lose your enthusiasm, you lose your audience. And I've done it myself a couple of times. I've even tried to go back to the automation, thinking that, well, it does save me time and I don't have to worry about it. I used to have things where I'd worry, what if I can't think of anything to say today? Well, to be honest, that's never really been a problem in my life. But it's amazing how I was convinced I would actually run out of ideas. I'd run out of things to say, but everything I do in my business all day long, and this is something you made me realise, is every single action I do in my business all day long is something I could potentially talk about. I can't run out of things to do because I live and breathe my business, as does everybody else. It doesn't matter what type of business that you do. You're working in it, therefore you have content. So, and I prefer it. I'm actually probably posting less, because I started, especially when I was automating, I was thinking, right, I must have at least 20 posts for Twitter, 6 posts for Facebook. It was all very exact. Now, some days I might only post twice to Facebook, and those posts will do really well. And then other days I'm feeling a bit chatty and I might be on there 7 or 8 times. It just depends what's going on. Just depends. So we just wing it. Yeah. We just wing it a bit more these days. It's good.
Yeah, and I think the over automation not only is that you're not in the moment, you're not at that time, you're not in that place, but I think that energetically that can be felt, both yourself and your crowd.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and this has been hard for me, to be honest, as a business owner, because letting my personality out in my business has been tough. And I don't know whether this is tough for everybody, but for me, the person that people sit down and meet has for a long time been very different to the person that's been the productivity princess. And it's only since I actually embraced my tiara and really kind of grabbed hold of the princess persona and realized, actually, no, this suits me, and I really do suit a tiara, and it's working really well now. So I kind of like it, but being me in my business means I have to be more spontaneous. It has to be less automated. I can't plan to be the future me. So it kind of needs to be a little bit more now. But, if you're going on holiday, we're just talking about automation is necessary, and it's necessary for productivity. And there is nothing wrong with taking 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, if you're really lucky, off to go on holiday and just automating your best stuff. You don't need to reinvent the wheel while you're away because you're not around. It doesn't matter. And, people don't mind. Your business doesn't crumble when you come back. It still exists. They haven't forgotten you. Things might be a little bit quieter, but they're going to be, because you're not there either. And it's fine. It's completely fine. You're a human person and you need to just do what you need to do. And going on holiday, it's good for your business too. You come back fully recharged, regenerated. And I know from working with Emma that if she goes on holiday or has any sort of break, I need to batten down the hatches when she comes back, because she's like an ideas machine when she comes back. Now I really have to just sort of hold on tight and just wait for this influx of information and ideas. That's it. Recharged Emma is quite scary, but it's good.
So you talked about coming out as yourself, and I see this, again, it's something I've been working with a lot of people with recently. It's layers.
Yeah.
And it's not about saying to you, right, I want you to come out and bare your soul and, 100% yourself, show me what you had for dinner right now. I want you to take the next step. And it's scary. And I know for a fact that we wouldn't have been able to have a conversation like this, where I said to you 3 minutes before, shall we just chat?
Yeah. Oh, God, no, I would have had a heart attack.
Because you would have been worried about what was going to be talked about. What happens if you had nothing to say? What if? What if
I say something weird? And I've kind of accepted all of that now.
But that's what you are.
Yeah.
And, I think it's embracing your quirks. And I'm not saying that, you're off the wall and you say stupid stuff, but the ability to embrace yourself just as you are.
Yeah.
It's really important, because it doesn't have to set you free.
It does set you free. Actually, working now there was a point, actually, and it happened only a couple of weeks ago, and I think it was some of the work I've been doing recently, and I just thought to myself, all of a sudden, I was churning out much more work, much more stuff that I was proud of, so much easier. And I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And I sat for a moment. I was like, what's changed? And I thought, actually, it's head game. I'm more relaxed. Instead of trying to be the person that I thought everybody wanted to see, the person that wasn't too vulnerable, so I didn't have to cry myself to sleep at night. It was, there was kind of like, it is a very sort of daunting environment that you're putting yourself into, isn't it? Especially at first, but then it becomes less daunting when you realise that the people that flock around you, that are drawn towards you and what you do, are decent people. I'm not attracting weirdo. Well, I'm not attracting many weirdos. I do get the odd proposal of marriage off Google Plus every now and again, but I think that's a ginger thing.
I was going to ask if your Google Plus pictures that you were receiving had stopped.
Oh, yes, I do get some weird stuff. I think that's just... We don't tend to spend much time on there anymore, but yeah, there's a lot of American generals seem to want to marry me, apparently. It's all very odd, but yeah, I'm sure that's a ginger thing, definitely.
If in doubt, we do say that it's a ginger thing, don't we?
It's the easiest way to go. Yeah, definitely. Just blame it on the ginger.
So I am going to open up for that. Does anybody want to ask either of us anything? We're here and we're having a chat about anything that you've got going on, anything productivity based, anything about getting out there and getting out of your own way. I'm going to let you start to put in your questions while I just have a little chat with Sarah about Zen productivity.
Oh, Zen productivity.
Didn't know you were allowed to talk about that now, did you?
No, I didn't, but it's so exciting.
It's really, really amazing. And I'm really proud of you for this.
Thank you.
Proud.
Oh, thank you very much. Don't make me cry on telly.
We won't cry on telly. Right now. And tell the people about Zen productivity.
Well, yeah. So this has been a bit of a work in progress for a while, hasn't it? And this has been Emma gently nudging me towards the right direction until I get to... Actually, she treats me a little bit like you do a man, when you kind of like have to kind of give them ideas and then hope that eventually they think it's their idea. And that's kind of what Emma's done to me. So all of a sudden I came up with this amazing idea for Zen productivity from nowhere. But actually, when I look back through my notes, it's Emma.
All right, I don't need credit for it.
But it's great. And it's taken me a long time to kind of get over myself, actually, in all honesty. And to be comfortable with knowing that what I do does have some value. And now I've been able to create a membership club where everything I've learned, all of these things that I am absolutely obsessed over, are things that I can now give to other people, other business owners that are having the same problem, that struggle to be productive, that have tried productivity tips and just wasted hours, following a solution that apparently is the only thing that's ever going to make you productive ever. And followed that, wasted days, and realised that doesn't work for them, because a lot of these things don't work for small businesses. A lot of these things don't work for businesses like us, where you want to be able to be a bit more flexible and you don't want half of your day taken up by updating your latest spreadsheet. It needs to be very fluid. I know, look at that face. It needs to be fluid, it needs to be practical, and it needs to work, doesn't it? And everyone's got a different taste, and it's so personal. And that's my biggest takeout from everything I've learned and read and spoken to other business owners, is how personal productivity is. And that's why the Productivity Club is all about helping you understand what it is for you personally and your business that you need to be more productive. Why are you having productivity problems? You personally, what is it that's causing you that particular block? And getting really kind of, I don't know, we're kind of looking at it in a bit more of a mind way as well, mindset way. There's a lot of kind of blocks and things. We literally, some people wake up every day and say, I'm not productive, therefore there's no point even trying. And that is a big thing to get by. I tell myself I can't do things, and until I've stopped telling myself I can't do it, like my productivity club, I couldn't do this for a while. And until I've stopped telling myself that, then I'm never going to be able to do it, because I've closed the door and I've locked it and bolted it and put a couple of steel bars up against it. Yeah, that's it. And we do this with productivity. And I think a lot of the time when people hear the word productivity, they just go, oh, God, because they just think it's going to involve a filing system they don't understand, a spreadsheet that they can't use. And it doesn't have to be that way. It can be really, really simple steps working towards being just that 1% better and more organised every single day, until all of a sudden you look around and just go, look what I'm doing. Look how organised this is. And it feels great. And it's freeing, isn't it? It's incredibly freeing to feel more productive.
Going, oh, look, I'm tidy.
Yeah. That's it. And I love this because it's amazing how many people sort of send me a picture of their office desk to say, look what I've done. And it's just, they're so proud that the first time for ages, they've actually realised that working in chaos isn't productive for them, even though that's what they've been saying for ages. And it's just nice, that little bit of tidiness goes down a long way, spending a bit of time to organise what needs to be done and what doesn't need to be done makes a huge difference too. And that's what the club's going to be about. And it's just going to be about planning your most productive month ever, every single month. So I think it's really valuable. Right.
So shall we do some productivity lies?
Ooh, productivity lies. Yes.
Talk about the stories that people, I'm always one for, well, I think you're telling yourself a story there and people go,
yeah.
So let's talk about the most common stories that people are telling themselves about why they're not productive, or that they can only be productive if. I'm going to start you off. I have to work longer hours in order to be productive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I tell you, do you know what my favourite one is? My favourite is I might do my best work when I'm under a tight deadline.
Oh, that's a good one.
I love it. I love it because it's rubbish. It's not your best work at all. It just means you actually got it done because you didn't get it started ages ago when you should have done. I love that one.
So I will be productive when I get a system.
Oh, yes. That's it. Only when you get the system. Yeah, until then, you're just going to accept that you're unproductive. Yeah. Terrible, isn't it?
System, can you?
Yeah. Or I'll tell you one I like as well. Organised chaos. No such thing.
I live in that. Jack once said, Mummy, we are about to drown under a tide of chaos.
Wow. That's scary from a child, isn't it? I love it. Oh,
hi, Vicky. Lovely to see you. Hi, Lynn.
Hello.
Anybody got any questions? Come on in and pop them in because we're just going to bust some productivity myths and some BS around productivity.
Yeah, I want to know what you guys tell yourself when you're not being productive. Yeah. What lies do you tell yourself? I bet you know what they are straight away.
Need a strategy.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. What's that one from Lynn?
It is even if it's not tidy. Yeah. But I think that there's a difference that, being able to put your hand on stuff. And as someone who isn't naturally very tidy.
We just got another one there. I'm not naturally tidy. All right
then. I don't like being tidy. And I'm tidy. And I'm more of a maverick than a tidy person. But generally, I work okay in that environment. And it's all about, again, like you said, it's about it being very much what you can work within and what makes you tick. And I know that with a completely tidy desk, I spend my whole time going, oh, where's that? Where's that? Where's that? And I'm forever then looking for stuff, which makes me unproductive. Social media makes me unproductive. That one isn't quite so much BS, is it? Because people tend to fall into that one.
We don't have any restraint when it comes to, I'll just have a quick look at, and the next thing you know, you've read 4 articles, commented on 10 posts, none of them have been anything to do with your business, and you've checked up on a couple of friends as well. And it's just, while I'm here, I might as well do this. And it is a big, deep, dark hole. And I catch myself doing it, but because I use a timer on my computer, so I use it for everything I do in my business. It's always on, it's open in my browser. And I've actually given myself a project category called faffing. So if I'm starting to do stuff like that, I have to either accept that I'm going to put faffing in as my category, which is painful for me to do. So, and it just gives me that reality check, just goes, right, you're faffing, you're about to put faffing in the category. So you either need to take a break because you're not capable of working right now, or you need to kind of get on and do something that you should be doing instead of letting yourself be distracted and faffing away. But social media is a difficult one because we need to be in there. We need to be engaging. We have that fear of missing out when it comes to social media because it's so fast, isn't it? And it's terrifying. You know, I worry that if somebody I'm following, I miss one of their blog posts. God, what if the world ends if I miss that blog post? You know, and it might do. In your head, this fear of missing out is a massive thing, because you think, especially when you're business owners, that that bit of information could be the one thing that's going to change your business life forever. But you know what? I've been promised that by loads of people in emails and social media, and you know, none of them have yet. So we shouldn't really have that, but unfortunately human nature dictates that we like to see what shiny offerings are out there, and we like to know what's going on at the other side of the fence, don't we?
And the thing is, that's all we do what your friends do, just don't address it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's when you lie about it and say it's something that it's not. That's the thing. If you're tricking yourself, then you're really going to struggle trying to become more productive, because if you're claiming that things aren't work that are work, then how are you ever going to work out how productive that you really are? How are you ever going to work out where your time is going, where you're spending your time, and how you're going to make those changes? It's completely impossible. So it's about having, I mean, this is something we're doing in the month of June for in Zen Productivity. We're talking about the relationship with time, because we have a really rubbish relationship with time, don't we? I mean, I say, oh God, it's flawed. But we had a conversation, didn't we, about how time would fly. There was a time thief, and you had a wonderful image that went out. And that's something we said, somebody stole time today. Somebody literally stole time. We were quite upset about this.
A whole week.
Yeah.
A whole week.
Exactly.
And it can't happen anymore.
And this is our relationship with time. We act like it speeds up, like it's not as long some days, you know, and we act like it's a surprise every single day that it passes, even though we get the same amount of hours every single day. It's like, oh my God, where did today go? Well, it went the same way that yesterday went, and the day before, and all of the days since our lives began. But still, it's a shock, and still we act like it's kind of a crazy thing that somebody's stealing it from us, that we don't have any control of it. And we do. We have complete control over where we spend our time. That's the key, isn't it?
I remember seeing one that was relating to exercise a while ago, and it was a picture of Barack Obama, who was at the point President Obama, out for a run. And it said, the President of America has time to go out and exercise. What's your excuse?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
That one always stuck with me.
Yeah, that's the thing. You've got to work out what the real reason is behind it. You know, if you're making excuses, I don't have time to exercise, I don't have time to grow my business, I don't have time to be more productive, I don't have time to do my social media, my blogs, my newsletters, blah, 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 blah. But the business owner next to you that maybe has 5 kids, is only working part-time, and a husband is away most of the week, manages to do all of that, then, you know, what is the excuse? And it's whether you want to do it, and whether or not you're putting your energies and focus into it in the right way. You know, if these tasks are things that you hate, for example, then they're going to be harder. Maybe it's time to outsource them. You don't necessarily have to be doing all of the same things as the person next to you. But if those things need to be done for your business, then you need to work out whether or not you should be doing it or somebody else should be doing it. And freeing up your time and passing it to somebody else is a really good way of getting that stress off your plate. You know, if you dread every weekly newsletter, then that's a really rubbish week every week for you, isn't it?
Totally. Absolutely. Right, let's have a look in the comments. I've just popped in there for Lynn a link to my blog about productivity tips for working from home. But great one that I heard in the Beyond Ordinary Business Hub this week.
Oh, right, go on.
Don't park your car outside of your house. Park it round the corner and nobody knows that you're in. How good is that?
Yeah, that's it.
But
yeah,
it would work for me.
Then nobody who's just passing just decides to pop in because you don't have a proper job, you work from home. Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Down at the end of the street today,
yeah.
So I'm on that today.
Yeah, I don't blame it. Getting parcels delivered, or can I just pop round for a cuppa? And it's like, well, would you just pop round for a cuppa or get my parcel delivered if I was working in an office right now? And it's amazing. Even the ones that understand it quite well still don't fully understand it because they're not living it every day. And it is a bit of a battle for some people, isn't it?
Totally. Right, I want to go back to Vicky's question. Vicky said, you know what I do? I ignore stuff in books about productivity. I choose not to read it because I know that this is my weakness. So I skim it instead of embracing the change that's needed. Well, actually, you probably don't need all that stuff in books, do you?
No, you don't. You just need the right things for you. And it's identifying where your current productivity problem is. So address one thing at a time. Don't try and change the whole of the way that you work and live and manage your time all at once. You just want to say, right, this particular thing is taking me way too long. And then you schedule a couple of hours in your diary, make it non-negotiable, and that's the time that you're going to spend working out how to make that quicker, how to sort that out, whether or not you should still be doing it. And because you've given yourself some time and you've given yourself permission to do something about it, it's amazing how investing that time then is going to save you time in the future on that task. If you then continue to do that throughout, the weeks and the months through different tasks that are causing you big problems with productivity, and you're ticking them off as you go along, things are going to eventually feel a huge amount better. And there's not a quick fix really to productivity. It has to be something that's done on a regular basis. You've got to keep reviewing and evaluating your stuff. It's the same as if you were putting social media posts out and, 1 week they work and the next week they don't. On the third week, would you continue to do the same thing yet again? Well, you wouldn't, because you know the result. But it's amazing how productivity, people will continue to repeat the same thing week after week after week, even though they know it doesn't work for them and there could be a better way of doing it. But if that was visible to your marketing audience, you would do something about it straight away. Because it's your own productivity, you've put it down the priority pedestal. So it's down there somewhere. It's something you can do later. It's something you can do if you get enough time to do it.
I think that the thing that we've learned is that it is continuous, because, we have had systems in the past and then one day woken up and going, we're doing this in a really difficult way.
Yeah.
Why don't we just do this?
Yeah.
And that then worked. But also, you can't wedge yourself into certain ways of working.
No, you can't. And you can't you can't take the way that somebody next to you works really productively and then mirror that in your own business. You're not the same person. You're not the same personality type. You don't have exactly the same business and you don't have the same audience. So therefore, everything about that is completely different, which is why productivity is so personal. And, there's nothing wrong with creating your first version of your solution and then realizing, actually, this has made me realize that I don't need this anymore, and then changing it completely. And sometimes you've got to do one action to make you realize that it's another action that's necessary, and it's the learning curve. And each time you're going through this process, it does get easier and you get a little bit more in tune to what's going to be the most productive way to do this. You start asking yourselves the right questions instead of just having a flap and just thinking, oh my God, I need this to be organized now, so I'm going to bin this and I'm going to put this here and that's what we're going to do. And you become, you just become a little bit clever and a bit smarter with it. But it takes practice. It's changing the way you think. So anything where you're going to behave in a different way takes repetition, takes practice, and takes time.
And it's the self-awareness.
Yeah.
Because often the thing that you think is the biggest arseache in your business actually isn't. It's something in there. It's something within it. It's not the entirety of something. It's one element of it.
It's
something completely different.
Yeah.
When you actually sit down and look at it, it's something completely different.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I get a lot of questions about how can I make blogging quicker? How can I make writing newsletters quicker? This seems to be quite a big thing, because there's a lot of business owners spend too much time on this. But actually, it's not the whole of blogging. It's not the whole of a newsletter process. It's one tiny aspect of it. And when you look down at every single step, is it the coming up with ideas? Is it the editing and drafting? Is it finding images? Is it the techie bits and getting it out onto your website? Is it the processing it onto your social media? It could be more than one of those, but it won't be all of those.
Most often it's the search for perfection.
Well, there is that, isn't there? And that's a hard one to get by, isn't it?
It doesn't exist. Perfection doesn't exist. And I wrote a post recently about nobody in the whole world is going to have higher standards of expectation of productivity of me than myself.
Yeah.
And actually living up to those expectations makes me completely Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's insane what we expect from ourselves. If we employed somebody, would we expect them to be able to do what we expect from ourselves? And
I expect you.
Well, that's fair enough. I wouldn't expect anything less.
Olivia asks, any tips for removing shiny objects? I want to start this with, it depends on what the shiny object is. Yeah. Because I think that often what we can do is we can try and remove all shiny objects. And I've written a blog about this in the past. Let me just but you've got to be open to possibility at the same time as avoiding time drains and distractions. There's a bit of a double bubbler. That talking bright shiny objects as in peeing about on Facebook, that's one thing.
Yeah.
You are really, really bad at that. You can get these apps that ban you from that website, can't you, for certain periods of time?
There's loads of them, yeah.
But you also need to be open to possibility. So don't shut the door on everything.
Yeah.
But be able to start to filter stuff. Be able to start to do, like you do, be aware of when you're faffing. Be aware of when you're distracted. So that you pull yourself back in and rein yourself back in. And rather than just going, actually, there's a blanket on no distractions. And there's times and places for that. And I know that when I'm doing certain things, I will turn off everything else so that I can focus.
That's it. You've hit the nail there on two things, really. The first one was to accept things. You need the awareness, you need to be aware of the real issue, the real problem. Is it because you're avoiding something? Is it because you're scared of starting something? Is it because you maybe don't have the knowledge or the experience, or you don't believe that you have those things to be able to get started in the first place? There's usually a reason why distraction is happening a little bit more than it normally would. It's maybe not the right time of day to be doing a particular task. If you leave your most heavy, arduous, brain consuming task till later in the day when you've got your 3 o'clock slump, then you're going to end up on Facebook. It's just a fact, isn't it? That needs to go. It might not be pleasant as the first thing to do in the morning, but I guarantee you get shot of it first thing in the morning, the rest of your day will seem so much easier, and the mood that you leave your day in is a huge amount better. And you'd be surprised then how much energy you have for your evenings, for your family, and for your personal time, because you haven't ended it with an uphill slog. It's like going out for a hike and making the last bit Everest.
Yeah, because you then take that vibe of I've done it into the rest of the day.
Exactly. And it's so, because nothing else is as difficult then, because you've done it, you've got it all sorted out. So that awareness thing is massively important. And the other thing you mentioned was about removing distractions, especially when you need to focus on something specific. And I do this, if I need to be writing something, distraction from writing is a pain, isn't it? So I won't have the notifications, I won't have those particular things open on my browser deliberately to make sure that I'm concentrating on that particular task. But I can let them tick over when I'm doing other bits and pieces, because that's fine. If it needs to be focused work, then make it focused work by putting something in place to say, I am focusing on this work by switching off my mobile phone, my email notifications, and closing all of the browsers to the gazillion social media platforms I seem to be part of. And that works. Those two things will make a big difference to you.
Maria says, I tell myself that I haven't got time to spend putting together a system. And getting organised.
Oh, dear me. But do you have time to continue spending as long as you do on the thing that requires the system to get you organised? You've got to think about the time, not just as time as it is right at this moment. So you're worried about spending time right now to sort a system out, to get yourself into a situation where this particular thing is going to take you less time in the future. So think about it, right? If your task then takes you, say, 3 hours a week every single week for 52 weeks of the year, you know how many hours you're going to spend all year on that task. What if... I can't. What's that? 156? 156. Don't do that to me again. I'm not going to do any more numbers. But then what if you could then reduce that to 1 hour a week by spending, 4 hours now, reduce it 1 hour a week for 52 weeks of the year, which is 52 hours.
Time saving off.
You've just saved 4 4 hours or something, haven't you? Yes.
Yeah, you've used the 4 hours to put the system in place.
Yeah, there we go. So 100 hours. So you've just saved yourself 100 hours in a year. So when you look at it like that, yes, you might feel time poor and a bit starved at having to invest some time now to do it, but it is going to free up 100 hours that you could be charging for a service, that you could be creating new products, that you could be doing anything that's growing your business, or even spending less time in your business and more time with your family, which makes you feel healthier, fitter and happier. You know, there's lots of other options to do with those 100 hours, isn't there?
It's very similar to the outsourcing conundrum, you know, when people go, oh, well, it's going to take me so long to teach somebody else how to do it.
Yeah.
But it's short-sighted not to do that and get the time back.
Yeah. And you know what? The usual reason for people saying that they don't have time to show somebody how to do it is the letting go of the reins reason. That's the underlying reason, the fear of handing over the baby.
Yeah, totally. So how do you not get involved in housework? Judy says she's got a rota, but what I do is I have a dedicated workspace and work. You know, if I worked in an office out of the house, I wouldn't be able to put the washing on. And I'll do that at lunchtime. If I've got washing to go on, it'll get done at lunchtime.
Yeah.
And it's just about being that strict that this is work time.
It's boundaries, isn't it? You know, if your working hours, I grab I've just got one of the pages from it there, so my planner, and I put in what hours I'm going to work in the morning based on my availability, and then I'll probably pop a little yoga class in there in the morning. I might have a couple of personal tasks I want to do, but you know, I'm saying that I'm working between, say, well, for me, it's like kind of 6 till 10, and I might have a bit of a break, and I'll do 11 till 1, you know, and the times in between that, you can do anything. If you feel like cleaning the house, I don't get those urges, I must admit. But, you know, if that was something that you wanted to do, make sure it's done outside of some hours that you set yourself. So you're creating boundaries. And like Emma says, if you were at work in an office, you can't just go downstairs and put the washing on. So you can't see that as being a normal part of your working day just because you work from home. It needs to be outside of those boundaries. You know, if you don't start work till 9 o'clock in the morning, maybe you've got an hour to kind of do your chores and bits and pieces before you start work. It's done, dusted, out of the way. It's not on your mind, and you're not going to migrate to the washing machine. So you know, it's certainly not an issue I have.
Well, I only ever have it when it's days like today, and I go, oh dear, I need a certain item of clothes for a certain child at a certain time.
Yeah.
I ever get it. Yeah. And yeah, cleaner.
Brilliant. It's the best thing ever.
Yeah. Lynn's used one of my favourite expressions.
What she said? I
feel stuck. Would you like to tell Lynn what my response to that is?
Oh, well, is it? Oh, no, I know your response to I feel behind.
Oh, absolutely.
I know that one.
Right, stuck behind pressure, a big word that are used a lot. Okay, people feel under pressure, they feel stuck, they feel behind. First of all, behind, there's nothing that's behind. Stuck, if you start to tell yourself that you're stuck, you cannot get any work.
Yeah.
Being stuck, metaphorically, literally, spiritually, every possible sense, is about that consumed like mud. You know, I always think about it like your feet are in that mud, and either you're going to end up pulling away without the shoe, and you get horrible feet, or you've got to stand still. You've got to ditch the words.
Yeah.
The words tell a story, and the words consume you, and the stuckness will consume you. You've got to start to take steps, and you've got to see what you can action.
Yeah.
Rather than what you are stuck with. There is loads and loads and loads and loads of help out there to get you moving on the stuff that you don't know how to do, you don't know how to move forward with. But the very first thing that you've got to do is do the stuff that can be done.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Not tell the story.
And we get overwhelmed to the point of being frozen, don't we? You know, it does happen. You know, it happens to me, and I can get out of it quickly now because I have a productivity toolkit in place which says, right, okay, you know, it's almost like I'm getting red lights in my office and I go into DEFCON 1 mode. It's like, right, we need to do something about this. And my default for getting a bit stuck is to walk away from my desk, to grab a cup of tea and a notepad, and just to write at the top of the page. And I start with, I am stuck. And then I just write. And I write whatever comes into my brain. And you know what? After a couple of minutes of thinking this is rubbish and it's not going to work, like a stroppy teenager, I end up writing a couple of pages and stuff comes out and I sort of see directions and end up with a flow chart. And the next thing I know, I can get back to my desk and I can move. And it's just because we get stuck. It's like traffic that's trying to filter into a single lane. There's so much going on. We're trying to filter into a single lane on a bank holiday. And that's what it feels like. And there's a blockage and it just happens. And you can get unstuck, but you need to release the pressure behind the blockage to allow you to kind of get unstuck with that. So journaling works great for me. That personally is a relief. Sorry, say that again.
Brain dumps. You've got to get it out of your head. You've got first of all, the first thing to do is, what can I do? I know that when people are overwhelmed and they're in this inaction, you get stuck in inaction. Yeah. And what the first thing that you've got to do is do something. Mm-hmm. No matter what it is.
Yeah.
Something, take a step, because that makes you feel so much better immediately.
It does.
And it starts to release the flow. Just do one thing.
Yeah.
Chances are one thing will lead to 2 things, that will lead to 3 things, that will lead to 4 things.
Yeah.
And I think that's absolutely
just work. And even if you don't think you can do anything, set a timer. Give yourself, say, right, I'm going to sit here for 15 minutes and I'm just going to do something, like you say. So you're not just, you've got this kind of end time. You're going to see how you feel in 15 minutes time. And, it's surprising. 15 minutes is a good time because it's just long enough that you've got into something, but also long enough to let you know whether or not you maybe need to take a break for a little bit longer before you can come back to something. It's a good judge of where you are mentally. Did you just need a couple of coals shoving on the fire to be able to get you going? Or do you need a little bit of an extra break? Do you need some downtime? Do you need to go for a walk? There's so many different things. And it's working out what you personally need, isn't it? Everyone's got a different thing that they like to do. I personally like to throw myself down a mountain on a mountain bike, and that seems to work really, really well for me. So it all depends, but we all have our own thing.
Totally. Emma says that she over-organises and over-plans. As a previous over-organiser and over-planner, what are your tips and advice on that one?
Oh, gosh. It's a tough one because it's basically it's chill out. It is literally chill out and relax and let go and stop this feeling where like all your muscles have kind of tense because you're on a roller coaster ride. You're holding on like that because you might come off. It's that sort of feeling, and you're grabbing hold of everything like it's all going to fall out of the roller coaster. Yeah, that's it. And I was like that for years. It was probably. It really was. Do you know, when I look back now, it's just I can't believe the transformation. But you have to chill out. You have to let go of some of the tension and pressure attached to things. And the only way you can do that, there's no real kind of productivity trick or hack or anything I can give you for that one, because it's a case of accepting and acknowledging it when it happens and making whatever little action you need to do to let go of the reins ever so slightly. And as you do that repeatedly, one day you will wake up one day and you'll just be that little bit more relaxed than you were the day before. And it does work, but it's a gradual process. We hold on and we over-organise and over-plan out of fear a lot of time. And we also, especially as perfectionist qualities, tend to come in there and make us we're so worried about the reaction to this. And I think that comes a lot back down to fear, which perfectionism does, doesn't it? It's how are people going to perceive them? If I'm not organized for this, what if it all goes completely wrong? What if everything falls out of my roller coaster? And it's, to be honest, it probably won't happen like that, because it never does. I have thought of a million bad ways things could end up, and they never have done. So, that's living proof that actually holding on like that doesn't do you any good. It just gives you really bad shoulders.
And what ends up happening is that you spend so much time planning stuff that you then never action. I find that lots of people fall into the trap, if they're over planners, of being, so far down the line and planning stuff where they actually don't know what direction their business is going to take.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing in a year.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to launch at this time next year. Don't know what I'll be selling this time next year.
And you can't plan for every eventuality. You can only really plan for one set of circumstances. It's the best option that you could hope for. That's what you're trying to plan for, isn't it, really? So, just plan for one thing, plan for one outcome, and then make that outcome happen, rather than trying to plan for every single eventuality. You're creating a goal and you're working towards that goal. You don't have to have every single step planned in the way, sort of between points A and B, but you do need to know where you're starting from and what your destination is. And they're the two crucial points. And also maybe if there's any places that you're going to stop off along the way, that's kind of your main points that you want to kind of keep working towards. But yeah, I totally understand over planning. It becomes a bit of an addiction after a while, but it is a case of just relaxing, letting it go, and realizing that sometimes it just falls into place. And until you see that for yourself, you don't realize that actually that's a thing, and it really is a thing.
And the business development and the moving forward and the profitability and all of that stuff is in the action. It isn't in the plan.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. So you can only plan so much. I never thought I'd say that. Yeah, you can only plan so much.
That could go out of your mouth.
I wish we had an interview from last year and then we could compare these. It would be hilarious.
Yeah, that would have been a very big difference. Even just the way you sat and talking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whew. So, would anybody like to ask us anything else? Because we've been talking for quite a lot. 50 minutes?
Have we really? Goodness me. It's been lovely. Have we actually got an audience? Sorry, I thought it was just me and you. I'm only joking.
Just having a chat.
Just having a chat, yes.
So if anybody would like to ask us anything else, that would be perfect. I'm chatting with Trudy from Indigo Grace.
Oh, lovely. Well, I'll check in for that one, definitely. She's lush, isn't she? Bless her.
Yes, she is totally. Anybody want to ask us anything else? Anything at all? Any more for any more? We'll give them a second. See if anybody wants to.
Absolutely. Actually, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Purple! There we go. Yeah, look at that. Well, I've just thought of it there. No, all I was going to say is we're talking about productivity. And I work with you really closely. I watch you churn out so much stuff on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And, you have the capacity to create a massive amount. So what would you say was your top productivity tip for you? Because it is a personal thing.
I work within my phone. That's how simple it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes I cannot write for toffee. Some days you will get 10 blog posts that are sat on my website within half an hour. It is about you capturing, and it is then about you implementing in my book. So I've always got a notebook, and I've always got the reminders section in my phone. So I'm capturing stuff in everyday life. So rather than going, oh, yeah, I'm inspired by that, and then coming home and going,
what was that? Yeah.
I'm putting those notes in my phone.
Yeah.
And I'm working with a notebook and I'm writing things down, and it's like your messy notebook, but it stays like that.
You don't copy it up.
I don't. But then when I finish each notebook, because I use one notebook and I use it till the end, because what I used to do was I'd have a ton of notebooks on the go, and then I wouldn't know where I'd written anything down.
Yeah.
But then at the end of each notebook, I transfer the content ideas into here.
Perfect.
So
That's a brilliant system.
I'll spend about 20 minutes, half an hour, just going through and highlighting everything in that notebook once it's finished that I haven't implemented yet. And then they'll go into here. So that's blogs and content. I've got some wasabi tape on it.
Wasabi tape. That's brilliant. I love that.
So if I've pulled any quotes that I haven't put into memes yet, videos.
Brilliant.
Freebies that are in production. Programs to develop ideas on.
See, that's fab. You can go into that and dip into the category you want at any time because you've pulled that together and organised it. And it's so, ooh, what have we got there?
How not to be a knob in business.
Oh, brilliant. Yes, very important.
That's a book. And hashtags that I want to start using on Instagram.
Oh, very
so
good.
I've just picked up along the way that have either gone into my note section on my phone or they're at the end of my notebook, and periodically they'll go into that content creation book, so that at all times I can pull on this and I can go, right, I'll write that one today. I'm in the mood for that one. I'll do that one. And I also periodically, let me just get my big book. Da, 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 da. Like hold music. Emma's disappeared.
Do you want me to sing?
Oh, where is it? Here it is. And I also have my zones of genius. So these are ones that I'll go off to the coffee shop. Every 3 months I take a week out of appointments and I tend to produce these then. So they're all sort of what I could be talking about. So that I've always got it captured so that when I am in the mood to write, I've got good stuff to write. Yeah. Rather than going, oh, I don't know what I'm going to write today.
That's absolutely brilliant. From a productivity perspective as well, it's incredible because having a system where you know you can always capture everything. So you don't have to try and use your brain as a storage system, which it's rubbish for. You know, it's not going to remind you of things at the right appropriate time. And there's always that fear that you're going to, that brilliant idea that you had is just going to be gone, you know, and they vanish. They come and they go really, really quickly. The shower's always difficult for me. I need to start writing on the walls, I think, because I have lots of ideas in my morning shower. That's a great one.
I have my phone and a notebook just outside of the shower.
That's where I need to start doing, yeah.
Is car journeys. And I said to you, didn't I, because I was driving you somewhere the other week, I said, can you make sure that you've got a notebook? And it was just a sentence. Can you send me a Facebook message with this sentence on it, please?
That's it, yeah. That's it. And all it is just you've got it, you've captured it, and then you can then come back to that at any point in time because you've got such a huge amount of resources there. So yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. And it's worked because I can see how amazingly productive that you are, how much you can create in your business on a weekly and a monthly basis, you know, and it's continuous as well because you don't get to the end of the month and you think, oh, I haven't got anything else to write about because I've used up all of my ideas. They are there. So yeah, brilliant. I think information capture is definitely a system that is worth sacrificing a bit, well, not sacrificing, investing a bit of time in to work it out and find that system that's going to work for you and, you know, and refine it in the way that you have. You've had multiple notepads and then gone to a single notepad and you use devices and things as well. Something's always with you that you can capture and it's perfect.
Yeah, because I'm stood in the school playground. I've got this. I've always got, so I can put the note in there. And, you know, I think that having that, just being mindful of your ideas is so important because so many of us have, you know, we have the capacity. We all only have so many subjects. Every single one of us can only write about so many things within our zone of genius. But you'll be amazed how many ways that they come to you and the different ways that you can be inspired by them. And not having that ability. And, you know, a lot of the time I get inspiration on the dog walk, when I'm in the car, when I'm cooking tea. You know, some of the most... When you're walking around the supermarket and you see the way somebody's branded something or in the middle of a movie, you know, I'll still write them things down. I'll still capture those bits. Yeah. You know, I get all sorts of... We're watching athletics and, you know, they come from everywhere. There's inspiration everywhere.
There is. And it's opening your mind. And I think if you know you've got a system that means that you can just pick it up, then you're not closed-minded to potential ideas because it can get quite frustrating if you have an idea and you just think, I've got nowhere I can do anything with this right now. You walk away from the idea and the idea is gone. So you tend to close your mind. You don't want to see anything that could be potentially an idea or anything inspirational, just in case you've forgotten about it and you don't get to use it. So making sure that you've always got something on you. I mean, we're women, we carry handbags everywhere. I've always got a pocket full of pens and notepads, so we've always got something to capture our information, definitely.
Yeah, and I think that allowing yourself to go, actually, I'll start later as well.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
might have this amazing idea, but go, oh, I can't do any writing.
Yeah. That's it. But it's there.
That idea is amazing. It's just saying it's not.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Good. I like that. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I think that's just absolutely done. Lynn's asked where we're both based. We're both based in the northeast of the UK, and she is about a mile that way. So how lazy are we doing this? Not a whole mile in that direction.
I know. It's a long way, that, Emma, isn't it?
So thank you so much for joining us today, Sarah. It's been fabulous.
Thank you for having me. It's been great.
Watching the replay, they are more than welcome to put in any questions or anything that they've got going on, and we'll come back in and answer them. And if it's for Sarah, I'll make sure you're tagged into them too.
Perfect.
But thank you for spending the afternoon with us.
Oh, you're welcome. It's been wonderful. Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Take